What if you could live your life judgment-free? Are you ready to live the unapologetic, confident life that God designed for you? If you are, then this is the place to be. Welcome to the Bold, Brave, and Sassy Show. It's time to break free of physical, spiritual, and heart-centered challenges that have held you back for way too long. Listen in for powerful tips and tools to help you break free today. Hear from leading experts, along with me, Annie Berryhill, your host and personal guide to freedom. Now it's time to live like no one's judging. Let's go. Hey there. Today we are going to be talking transformation. So I was doing some homework for this episode and I wanted to be really clear and have a basis for talking about the same thing. And so I dug in a little bit and looked up the definition of transformation. And transformation is a dramatic change in form or appearance. Now, I know you know what a transformation is, and you probably know someone who has either had a transformation, who's been working towards a transformation in some way, shape, or form in some area of their life. I love this quote too, because it really talks about what leads us to a place where transformation is necessary. And the quote says this: when we hit our lowest point, it's when we are ready for the greatest change. And I think transformation and a dramatic change and the greatest change, they're all the same thing. And so I even like to throw in a verse from the Bible, because in Isaiah, it says, "I will not cause pain without allowing something new to be born." Now we know that we're going to have a change, a great change, a dramatic change. We're going to have some pain, but out at the other end, we're going to have something new to be born. So I think that transformation in general is a compelling thing for humans, and maybe even more specifically for women. I mean, after all, we are the species, we are the gender that really loves to watch the home improvement shows, where we got, the Gaines doing their thing, and we've got not home improvement, but, Move That Bus, all those different shows. I mean, there's even My 600-Pound Life. Why do we watch that show? We watch that show because it's fascinating to understand how someone got to a place where they weigh 600 pounds and what they have to do to get to a place where they're somewhat normal. And recognizing that it's not just the outside changes that have to happen. I mean, we even have shows that are about hoarding. I mean, hoarding is another way of watching transformation. We get to see someone's home be transformed from just a pigsty to the grossest situation with animal poop and old stuff and smells and non-working utilities, to a place where somebody can actually live and not be sick, or, you can move around. And so I think as humans, we really value transformation. And I don't know that I've quite come to the conclusion about why that is, but I do feel like I've met a lot of people in my life who are unhappy in their situation. Now, in the situation of My 600-Pound Life or an episode of Hoarders, it's kind of the reverse. Like, something has led them to live a life of excess. They're shielding themselves from something in the world that makes them afraid or makes them hurt, or they don't want to have to deal with. Brings them comfort, even food, collecting stuff. And so for some of us, we have created a situation for ourselves where we need to have a transformation because we have to move out of something that is holding us back into something that allows us to travel freely and to fly freely through life. So that's why transformation for me is really interesting, because even though the definition is about something that you can see that is dramatic, you can actually see with your eyes that the change has occurred, I think some of the biggest transformations happen within a person. It happens within a person's mind and how they think about life and how they think about themselves, how they think about other people, their expectations, their perceptions. I know that I had grown up in an environment where it was pretty tense. I'll say that nicely. It was very tense. There's people in my family who had a tendency to be kind of scary and kind of unpredictable and angry. I will be the first to admit that I lived a majority of my life being angry under the surface. And I masked it really, really well. And how I masked it was being really nice to people outside my house so they would like me. Because the bottom line was, there were people in my house I didn't really believe liked me or loved me. And that created a lot of anger within myself. When I got into about my 36th year, the person who had created the greatest tension for me and the greatest insecurities for me and the greatest fear in me was no longer on the planet. And I was able to start doing some work in the freedom, never having to be influenced again by that person. And I could start to be free. But I still was living through a lot of anger. And most people would never guess that. But it was eating up my soul. Anger, bitterness, resentment, all of those things will pick you apart from the inside out. And really, you'll never have the life you want when you're living like that. And I remember I had done so much work. I had dug in so deep into myself where I finally had to take responsibility for what I was feeling. Yeah, I could blame it on the initial start to my life and the foundational thoughts that I had about myself because of the environment I was in. But that wasn't going to change because the past was over. And I learned that I really, really needed to own things, that I couldn't make excuses anymore, that I couldn't just push them away, or I couldn't just still be angry with that person and blame it on them and make it all their fault. I really just had to own it. And I had to do some work. I had to do a lot of counseling. I had to do a lot of, talk therapy. I had to really look for answers to relieve me of the anger that I felt. And I spent a lot of time in prayer and surrendering and resurrendering my heart to God and just saying, fix this thing because it is shattered. It is crushed. And I don't want to live through this feeling of anger. And through the work that I did and the people that I met that were able to influence me and the people that loved me and stuck by me, and because I was a mom and I really didn't want to continue that pattern for my kids in the environment, our home environment, I was able to work through that little by little. And I remember at one point, somebody had noticed something different about me. Now, granted, I never let people really see my anger. I really didn't want people to know that side of me. But for some reason, somebody said, Annie, you seem different. What's going on? And I remember the only way I could describe it was that I had come into the season of the peaceful heart. And it was the only time that I'd ever felt a consistent sense of peace within myself for any extended period of time. I really called it a season of the peaceful heart because I didn't know if it was temporary. I didn't know if that anger was going to come back and bite me in the butt, because it was a constant companion for 35 years of my life and it was normal to me. But as the days and weeks and months wore on, my transformation from the inside continued. I was no longer running my life through anger, through resentment, through bitterness, through self-pity. I was changing and I was transforming, but it took work. So transformation is usually done for the right reasons. I mean, if someone is drastically overweight and you know that it's limiting you from the things that you want to do, playing with your grandkids, playing with your kids, doing your job well, or even just maintaining health, those things are so important to be able to do in day-to-day life. We can think of transformation as a way of bringing ourselves forward more into our true selves. And again, using that word sassy. I mean, we're not sassy when we're feeling angry. We're feeling bitter and we're feeling maybe like we're going to bite somebody's head off, but that's not the same thing as sassy and confident and knowing who you are and finding the joy and happiness in life. And so it's super important for us to look inside and say, yeah, well, I may not be in a size blank, I'm not killer overweight, but there's some things inside of my soul, inside of my mind, inside of my thinking that are actually worth working for transformation. Transformation, I think, is different than change too. Change can happen quickly, and change can happen slowly. You may look and you may feel different, but transformation is never quick. You cannot switch. I mean, if you look at those shows, you cannot go from being a 600-pound person to even being a 300-pound person in a year. And if you do, it's got to be medically supervised because that can be dangerous. And the same thing, if you're 35 or 40 or 50 years old and you've had the same line of thinking for your entire life, you're not going to be able to change that overnight. But it does start with this formula that I talk about on this show, and it's the SASS formula. It's you got to see what's going on. You have to have awareness. And I love the fact that once you have awareness about something, whether it's good or bad, you like it or not, you can't go back and unsee it. You can't go back and be unaware of it. Yes, you can ignore it. Yes, you can do nothing about it, but you will always know that it's there. If there's something holding you back, if there's an emotion that you continually feel that is trapping you and keeping you from that progress, keeping you from that transformation that you want, you got to see it first. You got to look at it. You really need to look at it and be brave. And then when you do, the next step is equally as hard or harder, and you have to accept it. That means taking responsibility for it, owning it, understanding this is about you and you alone. Not pointing fingers outward and not condemning yourself, but literally just understanding and accepting what is, right? Because we just kind of go, yep, I'm short. I'm short. I'm not going to play in the WNBA. I'm not going to be a long distance swimmer. That's a minor thing to think about, but I can say, I can accept the fact that I have spent a ton of my life being angry. And there's no condemnation. I'm not going to drag myself through the mud or beat myself up about it. It just is. The next step in that SASS formula is another S, and it's strategize. Okay, now that you've seen it, now that you know it and you own it, what are you going to do about it? I think a lot of people get in the trap in transformation where they want to do everything at once. I mean, this is true whether you're building something, you're creating something, you're wanting to get something done. We make these huge lists for ourselves and we get 3 steps into it and we just want to quit because we've dug ourselves way too deep of a hole, or we've loaded up our backpack with way too much stuff for our hike on this journey. And I think it's really important to pick 1 or 2 things that you can get in the habit of doing or not doing, and do those consistently. And I mean consistently, like every day. That goes back to being aware. Hey, you know what? I was feeling angry today. Why was I feeling angry? Oh, I was feeling angry because she got that promotion and I didn't. What part do I have to play in not getting that promotion? Oh, well, I don't always turn my work in on time. Sometimes I'm gossiping in the coffee room. Those might be factors. I don't know. But I know that I haven't given it all that I should. And I know that I haven't done what she's done. I don't know why, but there's probably something that I can own in that. But now you got to strategize. How can I be on time? How can I just do that consistently? And figure out a strategy and really simple habits to help you move forward in that transformation, in that process of transformation. And then the final S is really, I don't want to say it's the easiest one. It's the simplest one. It's just to start. And understand that when you start, momentum goes with you. For most people, getting started on something new is the hardest thing. I'm the opposite. I actually have a really easy time starting things, but not always so much energy and focus to finish it. And that's what I have to own. And that's how I have to set myself up to win. I can't take on humongous projects that my brain wants to throw out there. I got to take one thing at a time. So it works either way, no matter what your personality is. So in the end, transformation is such a worthy goal. It takes patience and it takes focus And it takes understanding who you are and how you operate. It's always best to go with your divine design. If you're a hard charger, set yourself up to have a reward at the end of every week. If you're a people person and you love to inspire people and you love to be around people and you love recognition, then set yourself up to have an accountability partner, somebody who gives you a high five when you accomplish what you say you're going to accomplish, even when it's boring, even when it's rote, even when it's repetitive, even when the sun is shining and all the kids are outside playing and you're not. Yes, grown-ups, we still feel jealous of people who are off having fun when we're not. If you're super detail-oriented, if that's your gig, the key for you is also starting simple steps and not researching until your eyeballs fall out. Figure out a simple plan, start the plan. And then if you're the kind of person that really enjoys security, safety, comfort, familiarity, starting is hard for you. You strive really, really hard to stay in the same place. But the same is for you. One teeny tiny little safe, super easy, seems too easy to matter, action, strategy, step, and start. You got to go with who you are. How you do anything is how you do everything. And I'll talk more about that in later episodes. But I want to just encourage you now to think about your transformation, to think about what it is that you want to become. Is there something specific that you've been dreaming of being? Do you want to be something else or do you want to have something else? Because I think being something else, becoming something else is a transformation. And having something else may be more related to change. How clear are you on what transformation you want to have happen in your life? And are you sitting back expecting it to happen? Or do you have a plan to make it happen? And are you committed to that plan? If you've already started on your transformation journey and you've hit a hurdle, have you stopped to determine what may be holding you back? Have you made a contingency plan for when you get tripped up? I mean, these are all things that we all face. And sometimes when we're alone in our journey, we don't really get how much it is a common human experience. One of the things that people don't usually consider is, what will it cost you? I'll go back to that My 600-Pound Life. Those families pick up and move and live in hotel rooms for a year with their families so they can see this one doctor in Houston who this show is all about. That is a big cost. They probably don't have millions of dollars, because if they did, they would just have the doctor come to their mansion. They make a great sacrifice because they're very committed. There will be a cost to transformation. I mean, look at the caterpillar. The caterpillar leaves everything it knows about life. It leaves walking on the ground. It leaves that. It crawls up into a high tree, spins itself into a chrysalis, and comes out as a completely different creature. But there's a cost. So at this point, I'm coachy by nature and I like to ask these pointed questions. And if you're thinking about, dreaming about, hoping for a transformation, a new you, moving into a new place in yourself, how ready, willing, and able are you to start on that journey to transformation now? It's really up to you. And you know what? If you're not very ready, if you're not very willing, if you're not very able, that's okay. That's okay. Hold that vision for yourself out in front of yourself. Think about it. Feel the tension. Feel the tension from where you are now to where you want to be. And a lot of times that tension is going to be what moves you forward. So I hope you've enjoyed our talk about transformation. I am a transformation addict. I love to see what I am capable of doing and where I am capable of growing. And I love it when people are on that path too, because it's exciting. And we only get one life. We might as well see the extent and how far we can go with ourselves and what we're capable of when we start to let go of things that we think and we feel are normal, but really they're not. They're just lies and repetitive thoughts and habits in the way that we do things and beliefs that somebody else put on us, that we just carried around with us haphazardly without recognizing it. Let's dig in. Let's find out more of that so that you can start to have your transformation, whatever that means to you. Thank you so much for listening today. Stay tuned for the show notes that will be up on the website soon with some really cool resources. I hope that today you've been inspired to take action on your health, on your strength, on your mindset, and on your sassiness. I want to always be able to encourage you and inspire you to be the best, truest, highest version of you that there is. I really want you to fall in love with yourself and run with it. This is Annie Berryhill signing off. Have a good one.